welcome to my channel. As you know that here we do study from basics and move to the advanced level, as well as we clear all the doubts. So today I am here with one more amazing chapter. So here you can see that chapter 4, materials, metal and non-metals, and this is the chapter of class 8th. So today we are going to discuss about this chapter, and I would try to clear out here all the doubts. So here we can start. Yes, so you can see that the name of the chapter is materials, metal and non-metal. So as usual, as before starting this chapter, I want to ask you one question, that is, what do you mean by matter? So I know that your answer would be that anything which occupies space and has mass is called matter. Okay, and we can give a lot of example, like we can say eraser, bucket, shirt, spoon, car, train. Okay, and a lot of things which are present or surrounding, these all are matter, because we know that these all have some mass, and when we keep it these things in some place, then definitely they just occupy some space. So these all are the matters. So do you know that further these matters are divided? So here you can see that these are the subdivision of matter. Here you can see that the matter is divided into the two parts, pure substances and impure substances. Okay, what are the pure substances? Pure substances are that type of the substance in which only one element is present, and the impure substances are those substances in which two and more than two elements are present. Okay, now here you can see that the pure substances further divided into the elements and compounds. Okay, now what are the elements and compounds? So element is a substance which cannot be divided, which cannot be split up into the two and more simpler substances. And what are the compounds? Compounds are those which are made up of the two and more elements. Okay, here you can see the example of the elements are hydrogen, carbon, iron. Okay, I think you are very well known about that what is hydrogen, carbon and iron. You know that hydrogen is a gas, the carbon and iron, these two are the minerals. Okay, next part is the compounds. Example of compounds are water and ammonia. Okay, and everybody know that what is the formula of the water? The formula of the water is H2O. What is the formula of ammonia? The formula of ammonia is NH3. That means more than two elements are present. Here you can see hydrogen, oxygen. Here you can see again nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay, so more than one elements are present, so these are called compounds. Now here you can see that the elements further divided into the four parts: metals, non-metals, metalloids and noble gas. So now we will discuss about that what are the metals, non-metals, metalloids and noble gas. Okay, so the first is that what are metals? Iron, copper, tin, gold. Okay, so we can say that these all are the metals, or we can define that the metals are those which have hard surface and the shiny appearance. Okay, so what are the metals? Metals are hard and shiny. And if we are talking about the non-metals, then non-metals are those which are not hard and they have a dull appearance. Dull appearance means जो जिनका surface shiny नहीं होता. Okay, so that are called non-metals. And if we are talking about the metalloids, we know that what are the metalloids? Metalloids are those which have the property of metals and non-metals. Means some properties of the metals and some properties of the non-metals are present in the metalloids. And the example here you can see that arsenic is the example of the metalloid, like sulfur is the example of the non-metal, silver is the example of the metal. Okay, and here you can see that noble gas. So what are the noble gas? Noble gas are those type of the gases which are unreactive. Okay, so noble gas also known as the unreactive gases, the metal which do not react with any other metal and which do not react with our environment. So these are known as a noble gas. And what are the homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture? That we'll discuss about later on. So yes, now we can start our chapter. You are familiar with the number of the materials like iron, aluminium, copper, etc. Some materials have been given in table 4.1. Table 4.1 appearance and hardness of material. The first is given iron, coal, sulfur, aluminium and copper. And you know that what is the appearance of the iron? The appearance of iron is, it is shiny and it is hard. Okay, if we are talking about the coal, then coal is dull appearance and it is not very hard. If we talk about the sulfur, then you know that sulfur is a non-metal. It is dull appearance and it is not hard. And aluminium, again, aluminium is a metal. It has a shiny appearance and it is hard. Copper, again, it is shiny appearance and it is hard. Can you name the materials which are metals? The rest of the materials in table 4.1 are non-metals. Metals can be distinguished from non-metals of the basis of their physical and chemical properties. Recall that luster and the hardness are physical properties. Okay, so here we will discuss about the metals, non-metals and metalloids. Means example of the metals, non-metals and metalloids. So here I really want to show you some pictures of metals. That here you can see that this is the copper and this is the color of copper. Okay, this is the lead. Here you can see this is the lead. This is the tin, and you know that tin is also a metal. Nickel, steel and zinc. Okay, so these all are the example of metals, and here you can see the image of all these metals. And here I want to show you some examples of the non-metal. Oxygen, okay, this is the oxygen. Nitrogen, you know that oxygen, nitrogen both are gas. Hydrogen, again gas. Carbon, selenium, sulfur, this is the sulfur, yellow color, okay, and phosphorus. Okay, so these all are the images of non-metal. And here you can see the image of metalloids. Okay, that I told you that what are the metalloids? Elements which have certain properties of metal and some properties of non-metal. These are known as metalloids. Okay, so here you can see the image this is the boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony and tellurium. Okay, so these are the images of metalloids. Yes, आगे देखते हैं इसमें. Yes, now we'll discuss about the physical properties of metals and non-metal. Before starting the physical properties, again I want to ask you one more question, that what do you mean by the term physical properties? Means what we study in the physical properties of any substance or any metal and non-metal. I think you must know about it. Okay, so physical properties means when we study about the state, when we talk about the external appearance of any substance, when we talk about the melting and boiling point. So these all are just come in the physical properties. Okay, the external features we can say. Have you ever seen a blacksmith beating an iron piece or an article made up of the iron like a spade, a shovel, an axe? Do you find a change in the shape of these article on beating? Would you expect a similar change if we try to beat a wood log? Okay, so what does it mean? Actually the meaning of this कि जब भी हम किसी मेटल सरफेस को बीट करते हैं विद द हेल्प ऑफ द हैमर, या फिर हम किसी भी वुड लॉग को बीट कर रहे हैं विद द हेल्प ऑफ द हैमर. ओके, सो आफ्टर बीटिंग द सरफेस वी कैन सी द सम चेंजेस. ठीक है, दोनों के सरफेस में चेंजेस होगा. ओके, तो वो क्या चेंजेस होगा? मीन्स मेटल सरफेस जो होगा वो बीटिंग करने के बाद हाउ डज इट लुक, एंड द वुड लॉग आफ्टर बीटिंग हाउ डज इट लुक. इसको हम समझते हैं एक्टिविटी 4.1 से. ओके, टेक a small iron nail, a coal piece, a piece of thick aluminium wire and a pencil lead. Beat the iron nail with a hammer, but take care that you don't hurt yourself in the process. Okay, please take care about it. Try to hit hard also the aluminium wire. Then repeat the same kind of the treatment on the coal piece and pencil lead. Record your observation in the table 4.2. What the observation you will get? I think you know very well कि जब भी हम किसी मेटल सरफेस को बीट करते हैं हैमर से, तो मेटल सरफेस क्या है? मेटल सरफेस थिन होता जाता है एंड इट विल बी चेंज्ड इनटू द थिन शीट. ओके, लेकिन जब भी हम किसी नॉन मेटल सरफेस को बीट करेंगे लाइक कोल, लाइक वुड, तो क्या होगा? इट विल नॉट बी चेंज इनटू द थिन शीट. ओके, वो क्या होगा? इट विल बी ब्रेक डाउन इनटू द पीसेस. जो नॉन मेटल सरफेस है वो पीसेस में ब्रेक डाउन हो जाता है. वी कैन नॉट कन्वर्ट द नॉन मेटल सरफेस इनटू द थिन शीट, बट वी कैन कन्वर्ट द मेटल सरफेस इनटू द thin sheet. So this is the main observation and this would be the main difference. So in the table 4.2 here you can see iron nail. We know iron nail is the metal, then it will be flattened and it will be changed into the sheet. Coal piece is the non-metal and it will be break into the pieces. Aluminium wire again it is a metal and it will be flattened and it will be changed into the thin sheet. I think you all have seen the pencil lead. Okay, pencil lead is also a non-metal, and when we will beat the surface of the pencil lead, तो pencil lead भी क्या है? It will be break down into the pieces. Okay, because it is a non-metal. So this is the properties of the metal and non-metal. What are the actual name of these properties? Okay, that we'll discuss when we proceed this chapter. So yes, here you can see the name of this property is malleability. Okay. So here we know that what is malleability. You saw that the shape of the iron nail and the aluminium wire changed on beating. If they were beaten harder, these could be changed into sheets. That you know because these are the metals, and when we'll beat the surface, तो किसमें change हो जाएगा? It will be changed into the thin sheets. Fine. You might be familiar with silver foil used for decorating sweets. आपने silver foil देखा होगा जो कि sweets पर decoration के purpose में होता है. And by seeing the silver foil, okay, you can imagine that जो metals है उसको हम कितना पतला मतलब कितनी ज़्यादा thin sheets बना सकते हैं. Okay, you must also be familiar with the aluminium foil used for wrapping food. Yes, we all know very well about it. Okay, क्योंकि daily हम घर में क्या करते हैं? We are using that aluminium foil. The property of the metals by which they can be beaten into the thin sheet is called malleability. So how you can define this property, malleability? In another word, you can say that the property which allows the metals to be hammered into the thin sheets or foils is called malleability. ठीक है, इसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? Malleability बोलते हैं. This is a characteristic property of metals. As you must have noticed, materials like the coal and the pencil lead do not show this property. Can we call these as a metals? No, we cannot call the pencil lead and the coal as a metal because we know कि metals की property क्या होती है? The property of the metals is malleability, but the coal and the pencil lead, these do not show this property. Okay, so this is the reason that these are not metals, these are the non-metals. Yes, now can you hold a hot metallic pan which is without a plastic or a wooden handle and not get hurt? Perhaps not. Why? Try to list some other experience in which a wooden or the plastic handle protect you from being hurt while handling hot things. On the basis of these experiences, what can you say about the conduction of the heat by wood and plastic? So here what we are talking about the conductivity, which is the another physical property of the metal. Okay, so after the malleability, the second property of the metals are conductivity. We know that the metals are good conductor of heat as well as electricity, but here we are talking about the heat. Okay, and the non-metals are the bad conductor of heat and electricity. ओके, सो दिस इज द रीज़न कि जो हॉट मेटेलिक पैन है अगर वो विदाउट हैंडल है, सो इट नॉट पॉसिबल कि उस हॉट मेटेलिक पैन को जो कि विदाउट हैंडल है इजीली वी कैन होल्ड दैट. ठीक है, उसको इजीली हम होल्ड नहीं कर सकते हैं. इफ़ वी आर जस्ट डूइंग दिस देन डेफिनेटली वी गेट हर्ट. एंड जो वुडन और द प्लास्टिक हैंडल है, वी नो दैट दीज आर द नॉन मेटल्स एंड दीज डू नॉट कंडक्ट द heat. Okay, so easily we can hold them without any hurt. Okay, so here what we know about it, कि जो metals होती हैं वो conduct करती हैं heat को, और जो non metals होती हैं like wood और plastic they do not conduct the heat. ठीक है, आगे देखते हैं इसमें. You must have seen an electrician using his screwdriver. What kind of the handle does it have? Why? Let us find out. And you know that the electrician जो है, जो अपना स्क्रू ड्राइवर यूज करते हैं, उस पर एक कवरिंग होती है. किसकी कवरिंग होती है? प्लास्टिक कवरिंग होती है. ओके, और उस पर प्लास्टिक कवरिंग क्यों होती है? बिकॉज वी नो दैट द प्लास्टिक इज अ इंसुलेटर. प्लास्टिक वर्क एज अ इंसुलेटर. प्लास्टिक इज अ बेड कंडक्टर ऑफ द हीट एंड द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. जैसे कि इलेक्ट्रिशियन जो है इजिली उसको हैंडल कर सकता है विदाउट गेटिंग एनी इलेक्ट्रिक शॉक. Now here activity 4.2 is given. Recall how to make an electric circuit to test whether electricity can pass through an object or not. You might have performed. Okay, just remember it. जो ये इलेक्ट्रिक टेस्टर है, ऑलरेडी वी हैव मेड द इलेक्ट्रिक टेस्टर, और इस इलेक्ट्रिक टेस्टर के बारे में हमने स्टडी किया है इन द चैप्टर ऑफ द 14. ओके, जो हमने केमिकल इफेक्ट्स ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक करंट का जो चैप्टर डिस्कस किया है, आप उस चैप्टर को देख सकते हैं. ओके, in that chapter we have discussed all about the electric tester. Okay, and I think you must know about it कि जो electric tester है हम कैसे उसको बना सकते हैं. Yes, the activity with various object in class 6. Now repeat the activity with the materials mentioned in the table 4.3. Observe and group these materials into good conductor and poor conductor. Okay, you just recall in your mind that in the chapter of the 14 we discussed about the good conductor and poor conductor. उस chapter में जो हमने good conductor and poor conductor के बारे में जो discuss किया था, we discussed about the liquid state. So here is your table 4.3 is given, and I think now it would be easy for you that easily you can identify that which one is the good conductor and which one is the poor conductor. Okay, so the iron rod is a good conductor because we know it is a metal. Sulfur, poor conductor, it is a non-metal. Coal piece, again poor conductor, it is a non-metal. And the copper wire, it is a good conductor because it conducts the electricity and it is a metal. And the same thing is written here. You observe that the iron rod, nail and the copper wire are good conductor, while rolled sulfur piece and the coal piece are poor conductor. Oh, the meaning of recalling our experience and then of this activity was to show that metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. We learned this in class 6, and I think you can also recall it about it that the metals are the good conductor of heat and electricity that we have studied in the class 6th. Okay, chapter physical and chemical change. Yes, now here we will study the one more physical property of metal. Okay, where do you find the use of the aluminium and the copper wire? Have you seen wire of the coal? Have you ever seen the wire of the coal? No, we have never and ever seen the wire of the coal. Okay, because we know that the coal is a non-metal and it do not conduct the electricity. Fine. The property of the metal by which it can be drawn into the wire is called ductility. So ductility is the next property of metals. Okay. So what is the ductility? You can define that the property which allows the metals to be drawn into the thin wires is called ductility. Do you know that the gold and the silver, जो gold and silvers हैं, these are the best ductile metals. मतलब कि सबसे अच्छी ductile metals जो हैं वो गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर्स होते हैं. आफ्टर द गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर, कॉपर एंड एल्यूमिनियम, द गुड डक्टाइल मेटल्स. ठीक है, जिनको कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं, वी कैन ड्रॉन इनटू द वायर्स. ओके, सो दिस इज द नेक्स्ट प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ द मेटल्स, जो कि मेटल्स की प्रॉपर्टी होती है जिससे कि हम काफी थिन वायर्स बना सकते हैं मेटल्स को ड्रॉन करके. सो दिस इज द रीजन दैट वी यूज द कॉपर वायर फॉर वायरिंग पर्पस. Have you ever noticed the difference in sound on dropping an iron sheet plate, a metal coin and a piece of coal on the floor? If not, then you can try it now. You can also try this, that you will be able to differentiate the sound of that. Fine. So do you note any difference in the sound produced? That yes, we can notice the difference between the sound, a metal coin and a piece of coal. Okay, so what is the difference? We can observe that we know कि जब भी कोई मेटल कॉइन या फिर आयरन शीट इट विल बी ड्रॉप ऑन द फ्लोर, तो क्या है, वो एक साउंड प्रोड्यूस करता है. बट जब भी कोई पीस ऑफ कोल जो फ्लोर पर ड्रॉप करेगा, इट विल नॉट प्रोड्यूस द साउंड. ओके, एंड दिस प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ द मेटल इज नोन एज सोनोरिटी. ओके, and in the another word you can define that the property of producing a ringing sound by a metal when it is strike with a hard material is called sonority. Okay, and this is the property of the metals, not non-metals. Have you seen wooden bells in temples? Can you give reason? We know that we have never seen the wooden bells. Okay, which kind of the bells we have seen? We have seen the bells which are made up of the metals. ठीक है, if you are talking about the temple bells or school bells or even द बेल विच इज प्रेजेंट इन योर बाइसिकल। ओके, ये सभी किसकी बनी होती है? मेटल्स की बनी होती है। जितनी भी मेटल्स होती हैं दीज प्रोड्यूस द साउंड। ठीक है, जब भी मेटल्स का सरफेस हिट करता है देन इट प्रोड्यूस द साउंड। लेकिन जो नॉन मेटल्स होती हैं, नॉन मेटल्स डू नॉट प्रोड्यूस द साउंड। दिस इज द रीजन दैट वी हैव नेवर एंड एवर सीन द वुडन बेल्स इन टेम्पल्स। ओके, so here we can know about in detail the things made of metal produce ringing sound when struck hard। ठीक है, जब भी उनके सरफेस को स्ट्रक किया जाता है, उनको हिट किया जाता है, देन डेफिनेटली जो मेटल्स होती हैं वो प्रोड्यूस करती हैं एक साउंड को, एक रिंगिंग साउंड को प्रोड्यूस करती हैं। सपोज यू हैव टू बॉक्सेस सिमिलर इन अपीयरेंस, वन मेड ऑफ वुड एंड द अदर इज मेड अप ऑफ मेटल। Can you tell which box is made of metal by striking both the boxes? Now it would be very easy for you to identify, क्योंकि आपको पता है कि जो मेटल से बना हुआ है सरफेस वही साउंड प्रोड्यूस करेगा, जो सरफेस नॉन मेटल से बना हुआ है लाइक वुड वो साउंड प्रोड्यूस नहीं करेगा। ओके, Since metals produce ringing sounds, they are said to be sonorous. The materials other than metals are not sonorous. ठीक है, तो जितनी भी metals हैं they have this property sonority, but जो other metals हैं but जो other non-metals हैं they do not show this property. After performing the above activities, we can say that some materials are hard, lustrous, malleable, ductile, sonorous, and the good conductor of heat and electricity. ओके, तो अभी तक जो हमने मेटल्स की जितनी भी हमने फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज रीड की हैं वो सभी फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज आर रिटन हियर। वी नो दैट जितनी भी मेटल्स होती हैं, मेटल्स आर हार्ड, वी नो दैट द मेटल्स आर लस्ट्रस, मीन्स जो मेटल्स हैं उनका सरफेस शाइनी होता है। मेटल्स आर मैलिएबल, मेटल्स आर डक्टाइल, सोनरस एंड द गुड कंडक्टर ऑफ हीट एंड इलेक्ट्रिसिटी। Don't worry, after completing this topic again I will define all the properties in detail. Materials which generally possess these properties are called metals. The example of the metals, iron, copper, aluminium, calcium, magnesium, these all are the example of metal. In contrast, materials like the coal, sulfur are soft and dull in appearance. They break down into the pieces. Okay, when we hit with the help of the hammer, they are not sonorous and these are the poor conductor of heat and electricity. So these materials are called the non-metal. The example of the non-metals are sulfur, carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, and I think you are familiar about all these. That sulfur that you have seen in the image, that sulfur is yellow in color, carbon black, oxygen that it is present in our environment 21%. Okay, and phosphorus is also the well-known non-metal. Metals like sodium and the potassium are soft and can be cut with a knife. Mercury is the only metal which is found in liquid state at room temperature. These are the exceptions. ठीक है, ये क्या है? ये exception cases हैं. Okay, what are the exception cases? Actually exception cases वो होते हैं that we know that all the metals are hard. Okay, हमें पता है कि सभी metals जो होती हैं hard होती हैं, but उसमें exception है. What is the exception? That mercury. ओके, आई थिंक यू मस्ट हैव सीन द मर्करी। सभी ने मर्करी देखा होगा थर्मोमीटर में, इजिली यू कैन सी द मर्करी ही उसमें फिल होता है। ओके, बट वी नो दैट द मर्करी इज अ मेटल बट इट इज नॉट इन सॉलिड स्टेट। मर्करी विच इज प्रेजेंट इन अ लिक्विड स्टेट। ओके, सो ये क्या है? ये एक्सेप्शन केस है मेटल का, कि सभी मेटल्स जो हैं वी नो दैट ऑल द मेटल्स आर हार्ड एंड द स्टेट ऑफ द मेटल्स आर सॉलिड। ओके, ऑल द मेटल्स आर फाउंड इन सॉलिड स्टेट, लेकिन मर्करी ऐसा मेटल है जो कि लिक्विड स्टेट में प्रेजेंट होता है। इसी तरह के एक्सेप्शन केस नॉन मेटल्स भी हैं। वी नो दैट द नॉन मेटल्स आर प्रेजेंट इन द 3 स्टेट, सॉलिड, लिक्विड एंड गैस। ओके, नॉन मेटल्स की जो अपीयरेंस होती है वो डल होती है, दीज आर नॉट शाइनी अपीयरेंस। लेकिन कुछ एक्सेप्शन केसेस हैं नॉन मेटल्स के जिनकी जो अपीयरेंस होती है नॉन मेटल्स की वो शाइनी होती है, लाइक आयोडीन एंड द ग्रेफाइट। ओके, आयोडीन एंड ग्रेफाइट एक ऐसे एक्सेप्शन एग्जाम्पल है नॉन मेटल्स के जो शाइनी सरफेस होते हैं। सो दिस इज अबाउट द फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ मेटल एंड नॉन मेटल. अगेन आई वॉन्ट टू रिपीट द फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज इन डिटेल. ओके, you just listen carefully because this is the most important topic, and in my next video we'll discuss about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Okay, so just take a quick revision of this chapter, that you know that in this chapter we study about that what are the what are the metals and the metals divided into the metals, non-metal, metalloids. Then we discuss about the examples. Okay, after that we discuss about the physical properties of metals, that malleability, ductility and all. Okay, so now here I want to repeat all these physical properties, so please listen it carefully. So now I want to discuss with you all the physical properties of metals. Okay, here you can see the first physical property of the metal is the ductility. Okay, we know that all the metals are ductile. And how you can define this? You can define this that the property which allow the metals to be drawn into the thin wire is called ductility. और example हम दे सकते हैं like gold, silver, copper, aluminium. These all are the example. Okay, and the next one is the malleable. What is the property of the malleability? We know that all the metals are malleable. Okay, and what is the property of the malleability? The property which allows the metals to be hammered into the thin sheets or the foil is called malleability. After that you can see that the good conductor of electricity. We know that the metals are the good conductor of electricity. There are a lot of examples like silver, iron. Okay, so these are the good example that we can say that the metals are the good conductor of electricity. After that, now the fourth point, you can see that the good conductor of heat, that yes, we know that the metals are the good conductor of heat. So that is the reason that all the utensils are made up, all the cooking utensils, okay, all the cooking utensils are made up of metals. After that you can see the fifth point, that is shiny. We know that all the metals have some luster. Okay, all the metals have some shiny surface, and this is the next property of the metals. Like we know that the gold, silver, platinum, these all are just shiny surface, and these are used for making the jewelry and the decorative articles. After that, next you can see that all the metals have the high melting point and the boiling point. So yes, we know that mostly metals have the high melting and the boiling point, like iron metal. The next property is the high density. So we know that the metals have the high densities, but there is the exception case like the sodium and the potassium. These two metals have the low densities. These two metals like sodium and the potassium, these are very soft metal, even we can cut with the knife. Okay, and the next property of the metal is strength. So yes, we know that the property which allows a substance to bear a lot of strain without breaking is called the tensile strength, and all the metals have high tensile strength. And the example you can see like iron is a good example. So that is the reason we use the iron in the construction of the bridges, because you know that the iron has a high tensile strength. Now here you can see the physical properties of the non-metal. Okay, we'll just discuss about the physical properties of the non-metal also. The first point, you can see that the non-metals may be solid, liquid or gas. If we are talking about the state of the non-metals, okay, we know that all the metals found in the solid state, but it is not in the case of the non-metals. Non-metals होते हैं वो solid भी हैं, liquid भी हैं और gases भी हैं. ठीक है, example आप देख सकते हो, solid like sulfur, carbon, phosphorus, liquid में है bromine, gases में oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and familiar about all these gases. Okay, you know that the nitrogen and the oxygen is present in our surrounding. Nitrogen is present 78% and the oxygen percentage is 21%. Non-metals are soft except diamond. Diamond is the exception case. Okay, non-metals are soft. Generally non-metals are soft, lekin except diamond. You know that the diamond is the hardest non-metal. Okay, next you can see that non-metals do not have luster. Yes, we know that the non-metals have a dull appearance. Non-metals are not malleable. We cannot convert into the thin sheets. Non-metals are not ductile. Yes, we cannot convert into the thin wire. Non-metals which are solids and liquids have low melting point. Non-metals which are solids and liquids have low melting point. Yes, we know that the metals have the high boiling and the melting point, but non-metals have low melting. But the non-metals have low melting point. Okay. Non-metals are the bad conductor of heat. Yes, wood, plastic, these are the example. Non-metals are the bad conductor of electricity. Yes, we know that the non-metals are the bad conductor of electricity. Here you can see that one more exception case, that is the graphite. Okay, graphite is a non-metal which is a good conductor of electricity. It is not a bad conductor of electricity. Okay, that I told you that there are some exception cases in metals as well as non-metals. Okay, non-metals are not sonorous. Yes, we know that the non-metals do not produce any sound. So let's have a look. Here we can see the difference between the physical properties of the metals and non-metals. Okay, metals are solid, non-metals are solid, liquid or gas. Okay, and exception case is also written here, that except mercury. Second point, we can say that the metals are hard except sodium and potassium. We know that these are very soft in nature. Even we can cut with the help of knife. Okay. Non-metals which are solid are brittle. Brittle means that these are break down into the pieces. Okay. Exception case है diamond. Metals have metallic luster. Yes, we know metals are shining appearance. Non-metals do not have luster. These are dull. Metals have high melting point and the boiling point. Non-metals have low melting point and the boiling point. Metals are malleable. Non-metals are not malleable. Metals are ductile. Non-metals are not ductile. Metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. Non-metals are the bad conductor of heat and electricity. And the last but not least point is the metal are sonorous and the non-metal are not sonorous. And I hope so that now you know all these terms very well, that what is the mean of the sonority, what is the mean of the malleability, ductility, okay, luster and all. So this is all about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. I hope you understand